The empty station. It was the kind of train station that shouldn't have existed anymore. Its walls cracked, its fluorescent lights buzzing like dying flies. I had taken a wrong turn, and instead of ending up at the platform for my transfer, I found myself in a dimly lit hallway that sloped downward. The sign above the entrance read Sub-Level 3. I don't remember deciding to walk down the stairs, but suddenly I was at the bottom. The air was heavy, damp, and smelled faintly of mildew. The hallway stretched ahead, impossibly long, lit by a line of flickering lights that cast more shadows than illumination. I turned back to the stairs, but they weren't there anymore. In their place was another hallway, identical to the one in front of me. A deep, instinctual panic began to set in, but there was nowhere to go except forward. So I walked, each step echoing louder than it should have. The tiles beneath my feet were cracked and stained with dark smudges I tried not to think about. After what felt like an hour, I reached an open space, a train platform, but it was unlike any I'd seen before. The walls were covered in pale green tiles, some missing, revealing rotting wood underneath. Empty benches lined the platform, their surfaces worn smooth, as if countless people had once waited here. But there were no trains. The tracks were filled with a murky, stagnant liquid that shimmered under the dim light. Occasionally, bubbles rose to the surface, but I saw no source. A faint hum filled the air, a low vibration that seemed to come from the walls themselves. A distant sound like metal scraping against metal echoed from the tunnel ahead. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The sound grew louder, accompanied by the faint squeal of brakes. A train emerged, its shape barely visible in the shadows. Its windows were dark, and its surface seemed to shift, as though it were made of something alive. The doors hissed open, releasing a blast of cold, stale air. My legs felt rooted to the ground. Slowly, shapes began to emerge from the train. They weren't human. They were tall, impossibly thin, with limbs that bent at wrong angles. Their faces were blank, smooth surfaces that seemed to ripple like water. They moved toward me, their steps silent, their heads tilting as though they were curious. I stumbled back, nearly slipping on the wet tiles, and turned to run. The hallway behind me had changed. It twisted, spiraling upward, the walls narrowing as if trying to crush me. I ran blindly, the sound of the humming train growing fainter with every step. Finally, I burst through a doorway into the night air. I was back outside, standing on an empty street I didn't recognize. The entrance to the station was gone, replaced by a crumbling brick wall. I've searched for the station, but no one has heard of it. No maps show a Sub-Level 3. If you ever find yourself in a place that doesn't feel quite right, where the air is heavy and the space seems to stretch, leave immediately. Be sure to like and subscribe for more scary stories.